Here's a video showing a school bus driver encouraging a student to beat up another student.
Beat the hell out of him from the bus driver? From the bus driver? And you hear the kid screaming in agony while the bus driver just smiles and laughs. If you're an American, odds are you probably got into some type of violent fight or altercation. I remember one time, I guess this is not a fight, but there was a kid in my class who took a bowling ball and broke the toilet, okay? And since then, I knew that American students were extremely violent, disruptive, and were just simply not to be trusted. So today we're gonna check out how American schools create violence and stupidity.
American students are violent.
Facts. The only time it's acceptable is when you're assaulting your teacher because they gave you an F on the test. I'm just kidding. You try that, you are getting arrested.
Oh yeah, and we're also kind of dumb.
Only 37% of high school seniors were academically prepared for college, math, and reading courses.
Why are so many American adolescents?
37%? That's it? Bro, y'all are that dumb? And don't say we, buddy. I'm not grouped in with y'all, bro. Okay, the likes of you guys? No, bro. I actually prioritize my education. I don't know about y'all. Being stupid is not cool.
Why are so many American adolescents so violent and uneducated?
Why?
Because our school system is absolute garbage.
Let's talk about it.
44% of American high school students experience school-related violence. 22% of students reported being in a physical fight. In the US, school fights happen all the time, and for petty reasons. Hardly anybody is shocked when a fight breaks out.
Yeah, bro, it'd be over like a girl, I don't know, your lunch money. If you're in high school and you're doing, you know, give me your lunch money tactics, like grabbing people by the throat and stuff, like, give me your lunch money. You're kind of a goofball, but...
This violence isn't only between students. It's not rare to hear about fights between students and teachers as well. Some students have assaulted their teachers, leaving them severely injured. There are two big reasons why fights are so common in America.
If you're fighting your teacher, bro, I think it's very clear that you just like don't care about yourself at all. I'm gonna be honest, because you're not gonna have any future in college. You're not gonna play a sport nowhere. You're not, I don't know, you're probably gonna go to jail, actually.
First is because school authorities put very little effort into stopping violence. As punishment for school violence, students are usually suspended for a few days or receive a short detention. Some students even get away with it scot-free. Students don't fear the repercussions of their violence, so they are much more inclined to fight. And another reason why fights are so common in
That is true. When I was a student, I was extremely fearful of expulsion or suspension, but nowadays, bro, the YNs running around the hallways, they don't care at all.
America is because social media glorifies these fights.
True.
Students will record and upload these fights
on the worst footage you've ever seen, okay? It will look like they recorded it on a toaster, on the TV screen of a refrigerator, you know?
TikTok and Instagram, and get millions of views. This has led to a culture which treats school fights as entertainment and encourages students to fight for praise and attention.
Bro, I be seeing Discord servers with literally school fight sections. That's how bad it is.
Violence in public schools has left many children to fear going to school.
He's terrified to come to school. Every day it's the same thing all day, from morning till the time they get out.
This little dude be getting bullied in class? What's going on? What's wrong with him? The hairline? What's
different fights?
But school fights aren't the only source of violence. Bullying is also a massive problem in American schools. 22% of middle school and high school students report being bullied at school, and half of all students have experienced school-related cyberbullying.
Cyberbullying? How can you possibly get cyberbullied, bro? Just turn off your phone, turn off your device, close your laptop. How could you possibly allow cyberbullying? See, that's what I would say if I was absolutely dumb. Nobody deserved to be bullied.
60,000 American children miss school every day in fear of bullying.
Damn, that's a lot.
That bully victims are between
160,000 children miss school every day due to the fear of intimidation by other students. Yeah, this is 160,000 pussies. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Bullying is real. Wait, let's read the other statistics too. 83% of girls and 79% of boys report experiencing harassment. 6 out of 10 teenagers say they witness bullying in school once a day. Once a day? Damn. Okay, let's get this straight though. A little simple like roast session is not bullying to me. Like if somebody hits you with one of those like, oh yeah, your shoes are ugly, or your outfit sucks, or I don't know, your nose is big. Are we really calling that bullying? I don't know. I feel like somebody might be classifying that as such.
American children miss school every day in fear of bullying. A Yale study found that bully victims are between 2 to 9 times more likely to consider unaliving themselves.
Okay, yeah, that's a problem.
It's not uncommon for a child to unalive themselves because of bullying. This bullying isn't just an issue of students, but schools and faculty are also responsible for this.
Facts, bro. There'll be times where like school fights or like bullying is going on, and the teachers don't care to say a word because it's the popular kid, or like they just don't care, bro. They don't get paid enough to be doing all that.
Students often face very minimal consequences for bullying.
The kid throwing punches was suspended for 3 days.
Damn, he's giving him the beats and got suspended for 3 days only. Damn.
5% of teachers see nothing wrong with bullying, and teachers only intervene in 4% of bullying incidents. Here's a video showing a school bus.
Yo, teachers, y'all have one job, all right? It's to teach and stop kids from getting beat up in your classroom, dude. It's not even that hard.
Driver encouraging a student to beat up another student.
Beat the hell out of him from the bus driver? From the bus driver? Where are you hiring these people from, bro? It's gotta be like some retired UFC coach or something. What you talking about, beat the hell out of him? And you hear the kid screaming in agony while the bus driver just smiles and laughs. What type of twisted bus driver is this, dude?
In Indiana, 10-year-old Sammy Toys was constantly bullied at school.
Why?
He would come home with bruises
Oh,
as kids
man.
would beat him up at school and on the school bus. He was chased, poked, punched, and stuffed into a garbage can.
Yo, Sammy, bro, we gotta put you in a self-defense class or something, because getting stuff into a garbage can is purely unacceptable. I'm not gonna lie to you. Wait, what? They called him Dahmer? What? Is that even a bug? This is a crab? Anyways, I'm getting distracted. I don't know why bullies pick people that they bully. It's like, why do they like, okay, we're just gonna target this guy for the day? Like, bro, huh?
Sammy's teachers punished him for a, quote, disruptive conduct. Sammy's parents contacted the school at 20...
So Sammy, you got beat up. You got flipped upside down and the change came out of your pockets, okay? The Sonic coins. You got stuffed in lockers. You got put in garbage cans. And then you also got in trouble with the teachers for being disruptive in class? Yo, this guy's getting hit with all type of punches from every direction, dog.
Times about
Feel
this
bad for him.
problem, but the school did nothing. On May 5th of 2024, Sammy unalived himself.
Damn, bro. Rest in peace to Sammy, man. It's just a kid, too. We're like, why, bro?
His bullies never received a single consequence for their actions. If his school...
They didn't even get suspended. They didn't get expelled. Yeah, man. This is the problem with the system.
Sammy would still be alive. This kind of tragedy has happened in multiple schools in multiple states across America.
Yeah,
all
it's a
because
fact.
schools have failed to take action. This is the same school system that breeds school shootings. There's a strong link between school shooters and having experienced bullying. Adolescents who have been bullied at school are...
Bro, we can tell you're biting in your cheeks, bro. Your jawline is not like, this is a school shooter looks maxer? Huh?
49% more likely to carry guns. Our school systems program violence and hatred into students.
True.
So it should be no surprise that school shootings are so common in America. But school districts put...
Because a lot of times, bro, I'm not to defend any of these, incidents or anything like that, but I would assume that some of these people like have emotional, mental issues, and then they get pushed to the brink, and then they don't know where to take it out or how to like deal with it properly, and maybe things like this take place. But that could be me just, jumping to the wrong conclusion.
Very little effort into addressing and fixing the root cause that leads to school shooting incidents.
Right.
If schools actually stood up against bullying instead of always letting it slide, school shootings would decrease drastically.
I believe
the
that.
American school system creates generations of toxic and violent individuals who have learned that they can get away with hurting others. Violent
Just
kids
punching
don't
down on people. I would never respect a student or a person, anybody in general who just like jumps people. If you're gonna fight somebody, fight them one-on-one, win it, and then walk away.
Only grow out of it one day. They simply become violent adults. But the only thing worse than a violent generation is a violent and uneducated generation.
Okay.
America spends $857 billion annually on K-12 schools, which is $16,280
Damn.
per student.
Y'all did not give me $16,000 when I was a student. Hell no, I don't want to hear that, bro. I was eating, crumbs out of my pockets.
That's more money per student than any other country. But
And yes, I know that's not how it works. I know.
America ranks 26th in math and 10th in science. Only 26% of 8th graders are proficient at grade level math. One large reason for this is a shortage of teachers. Do you want more high quality videos like this one? Less than the typical working American. Along with this, American teachers work an average of 53 hours a week.
Damn, that's a lot.
7 hours more than the typical working American. This is because teachers have a lot of duties beyond simply teaching, such as grading, lesson planning, and administrative tasks.
So aside from teaching, they have other responsibilities, but then also a lot of times I feel like teachers are probably off for the whole summer. Maybe, are they? Or maybe they're picking up a different job. But I would assume like 3 months off out of the year. I guess that's not the worst. Just pay them more, man.
And to make matters even worse, students are often disrespectful or sometimes even violent towards their teachers. As a result,
anybody watch this right now of a current class clown? If you are, get a life, pal. I'm just kidding. No, not even kidding, actually. Class clowns are kind of the worst.
The teaching industry has become very undesirable for many people, leading to a shortage of teachers. Between February of 2020 and May of 2022, 300,000 public school teachers quit their jobs. That's roughly 3% of the workforce.
Yeah, bro, you would not catch me doing this job, bro. I feel like it's not really worth it. This is one of those jobs I would do if I couldn't get another job. And I'm like, screw it, I'll teach, I guess.
Because of this shortage, teachers are now assigned massive class sizes, which makes it harder for each student to receive the specialized help they need. Oh, that's true. This also means that school districts have lowered standards for hiring teachers in order to make up for the shortage. The number of underqualified teaching hires increased by 69% from 2022 to...
Yeah, because I have been hearing, bro, some of these teachers kind of suck, bro. There was a time where I was in class, my freshman year, I had an English teacher who never taught a day in his life. Was he a cool dude? Yes, but he was not like a good teacher at all. He would just put on some movies and we would just chill in the class and read a couple books here and there. But other than that, bro was not teaching us nothing.
2023. Now, American schools are full of terrible, incompetent teachers who are hurting the country. I remember back...
You pick up an idiot off the street, you know, and you know, you can find a crackhead on the street, pick him up and be like, yo, teach crack 101, and they gonna find, you know, a way to get that done.
High school, teachers would assign us massive packets of reading and questions. Meanwhile, they would sit in their stupid chairs and use their computers instead of actually teaching the class.
If you would just get up and teach them instead of handing them a
freaking packet, yo.
There's kids in here who don't learn like that. They need to learn
face to face.
In America,
it's an all-time banger.
It's very common to come across classes where students are forced to learn everything by themselves rather than be taught. And no matter how much students and parents complain, school districts almost never do anything about it.
True.
Due to the shortage of teachers and the protection from teachers' unions, school districts can't just replace teachers who aren't doing their job. With such terrible teachers, it's only natural that students aren't learning properly.
So in the rules and regulations and fine print of a teacher, whatever the laws and whatever, they're not allowed to just get fired that easily. That kind of makes sense, I guess.
Another big problem,
especially because they have a shortage of teachers anyways.
The lack of funding. In America,
yeah, it's true.
A big portion of funding for public schools comes from the taxpayer money of the community.
Right.
This means that schools and wealthy communities are well funded.
But if you're in the hood, you're not getting taxpayer money like that because the taxpayers are broke. So your school is going to be underfunded. Yes, I went to a school in the hood, bro. I'm from the hood. Do I not look like a hood, you know, gangster?
But schools in low-income communities are poorly funded. So if you live in America, your quality of education and therefore your prospects of success are largely determined by the community that you live in.
True.
This problem can be seen in low-income cities like Detroit.
And I feel like I especially felt this during like sports when there was times where like our equipment was kind of trash or like, you know, they'd be dirty as hell or like there's roaches or something low key and like we just got to ignore it. Yeah, man. It sucks.
Only 3% of fourth graders are proficient in math. Low-income students enter high school with literacy skills 5 years behind high-income students. Only 14% of low-income students graduate college, compared to 60% of high-income students.
You have the nerve to say that there is no correlation, yo. It's just because they're black and they don't want to go to school and they're not smart. No, bro. And poverty plays such a big role in so many things in this world. You would be surprised.
It's quite clear that schools and lower-income communities need more funding.
Yeah.
America spends $857 billion annually
on public $857 billion? Yo, can I hold like 1,000? 100,000? That doesn't even hurt the economy like that, bro. Just give me like a little bit. How much that money is being spent on the military? Probably all of it, huh?
Is all of that money going? Well,
Watch.
A big chunk of it is going towards administrative staff.
Okay.
From 2000 to 2019, the number of administrative staff increased by 88%, and the number of principals and assistant principals increased by 37%.
What do principals even be doing for real? Like, I know principals are important, but there was times, bro. What do they even do? The teachers are more important, bro.
While the number of students and teachers only increased by 8%. This shows how a disproportionate share of resources is going into administrative functions rather than directly supporting students and teachers.
Right.
Maybe if funding was actually allocated correctly, our academic performance wouldn't be so low.
That makes sense.
Another large problem is that schools have allowed students to be lazy. In America, teenagers...
Bro, with the way students are introduced to stuff like ChatGPT, let's not even talk about everything else. Let's talk about AI first, bro. Dude, if I was in high school right now with AI, I'm not doing a single assignment ever again in my life. And then after that, you know, there's going to be problems, of course. You're not going to know how to learn. You're not going to know how to read. Your attention span's going to be cooked. You're not going to be all types of different skills that you should have in your adult life. I know. But, bro, it's very, very tempting and very, very easy to just get away with, bro.
Ages of 15 and 17 spend an average of 1 hour a day on homework. Meanwhile, American teenagers spend an average of 8.5 hours on their phone daily.
I'm not going to lie, bro. My number is probably higher than that, too. That's the crazy part, bro.
1 in 5 teenagers report watching YouTube almost constantly. And
Damn.
parents are also...
Watch my channel then. Actually, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Thank you.
Responsible for this problem. Only 43% of kids say their parents check their grades more than once a month.
Oh, you're lucky, bro. Okay, these gotta be like, you know, kids with parents who don't care. You got an Asian parent, bro? Them grades are not escaping, bro. Your life pretty much depends on them grades, bro. If you're gonna go outside for the summer, it depends on those grades.
As a result, students can laze around and waste their time without being held accountable.
Just TikTok it away.
Education
it's that damn phone,
in America has been in a steady decline for a while now. The government tried to fix these problems by implementing academic standards called the Common Core, but this actually made things even worse. Common Core sets standards for what students should know at each grade level to ensure that students are learning efficiently.
I've heard of this before.
Now, this all sounds good on paper, but in reality, Common Core has only hurt the education system of America. First off, Common Core operates with a one-size-fits-all approach, which assumes every student learns at the same pace. This system takes power away from teachers and schools who understand their students best, and instead it dictates students' learning based off the government's own ideals. And the biggest flaw with Common Core is the confusing math methods it imposes onto children. You have 8 seconds to solve this math problem. Go.
35. Right? Yes. Yes.
Was your answer 35?
Yes.
Well, you get 0 points. If you didn't use the quantum linear dimensional isolation method to solve the question, then you didn't do it correctly.
Oh, please, bro. Nah, I don't want to hear that, bro.
This is the BS that every
They do be making you have to like check your work and do all the extra stuff, though. I will say that. And yeah, I guess that makes sense. You know, having like a one-size-fits-all, like government mandated curriculum is probably not the best idea in terms of the students. I mean, I do think there's a good idea to have like a bullet point of checklist thing of like, okay, everybody should know how to read, everybody should know how to write, everybody should know how to add, subtract, do all these things. Now, the way you learn how doesn't really matter, but I think that everybody should be able to get to that goal of, you know, said thing. Like, who cares about how you get the math done? As long as you know how to do the math, then you're good. I think that's how it should work.
child in America goes through. You see, Common Core requires students to solve math questions using
the crazy part is I don't even really remember how to do this type of stuff anymore. Okay, 4 times 5, I need you do this, put a 0, you put the 2 up here, right? And then maybe you do 4 times 4, and then you put like a number and you add the 2, becomes 6, and then you go 2 times, something like that. This is all just like complicated, bro. Just put a calculator out, man.
Algorithms. If students don't
it's kind of interesting actually. If you're a college student, watch this, or you're like older, once you get to a certain age, I feel like those type of early math, like maybe it's just me and I'm an idiot, but you kind of forget it, and just like they don't even ask you to do this no more. You just use a calculator for that, and then there's more complex stuff that you got to do. I don't know. Yeah,
these methods,
like derivatives and stuff, you take calculus, you know,
if their answer is correct. As a kid, I had a very hard time understanding Common Core math, which led to me constantly getting low scores on my tests and classes.
Hey, me too, bro. Me too.
It was insanely demoralizing, and I felt stupid. Well, it turns out I'm actually really good at math. In high school, where Common Core is less present, learning calculus was very easy for me.
Do you have a chain of straight hundreds on?
In high school, where
Bro, I don't think I touched this much money in my life when I was from the ages of like 18 and down.
Common Core is less present, learning calculus was very easy for me.
Oh man, what's this method called? The power rule. You take the 1 down, times it by 2, whatever, and you subtract the exponent.
And I scored very highly on my exams. I also got a near perfect score on the math segment of my SAT.
Okay, you're like that,
so
bro.
How come learning basic algebra was so difficult for me as a kid? Common Core has created a very confusing system of learning, which has led many students to learn less efficiently and hate their classes. Common Core, more like Common L.
That's the best you could do? That's the best joke you could come up with? Well, act like we didn't hear that.
How does terrible education affect America? Well, the effects are really bad.
Oh,
because so many students receive terrible education, America now has the worst educated workforce in the industrialized world. 54% of US adults have a reading proficiency below the 6th grade level.
Bro, wait until Gen Alpha becomes the next nurses and doctors, bro. What are you gonna do? Your colon inspected, right? And it's like some Gen Alpha person like, I don't know. Yeah, God, bro. Gosh, bro. The future is finished.
21% of US adults are illiterate. This is embarrassing.
21% of American adults can't even read? Dude.
Considering we are the wealthiest country in the world. Now you know how bad America's school system is. So how do we fix it? Well, it's actually quite simple. Firstly, to address violence and bullying, schools need to hold students more accountable.
True.
Currently, students barely receive any punishment for bullying and violence. There should be more severe consequences, such as mandatory community service or being expelled. This seems like a very simple fix, but very little progress has been made. To address
I think also maybe something that we could talk about, like to actually consider, maybe, hey, hear me out, this might be something that's considered too soft or something, but I'm thinking like just expelling a student isn't going to teach them, you know, why bullying is bad per se. It's going to tell them not to. So maybe like let's, you know, add like a mental therapy class or something. I don't know, some type of program that teaches bullies empathy in life.
The shortage of teachers, America needs to pay teachers more.
That's true.
I mean, we clearly have the money to pay them. Where's that $857 billion going? We
Up my ass. No, the military though.
Need to remove these teachers who do nothing but hand out packets. The school system is paying them as they contribute to the academic downfall of the country.
Yeah.
The problem of low-funded schools is also a pretty simple fix. Public schools need more funding from state and federal governments. Also, Common Core needs to go. There has not been any academic progress attributed to the implementation of Common Core.
I guess.
Common Core is only hurting the academic progress in America. I recently made a video about the horrible education systems in many Asian countries, where students study up to 16 hours a day and get physically punished. These countries have the exact opposite problems that America has.
They studying too much.
Countries need to find a middle ground between these two extremes.
That's true.
And maintain a system which develops hardworking and competent students without sacrificing their mental health for success. The truth is, this goal isn't too far-fetched. Take Finland, for example. Finland ranks number 7 in
Finland. Do I know any words in Finnish? Who more do? I think that's just Swedish though. I actually know a little bit Swedish, bro.
Education, higher than China and the United States. Yet students in Finland receive very minimal homework, and the majority of primary and secondary school students enjoy their education.
I do feel like homework is low-key a little bit unnecessary sometimes. Like, if the teacher is teaching things properly and the students are engaged in class, homework is kind of not really necessary. I do think tests make sense, though.
This shows how it's definitely possible to create a school system that's both effective and enjoyable. If we take the right steps, we might be able to bring our countries closer to this ideal school system. Hello, guys.
We gotta follow what the white people are doing, bro, because whites always do it right. But that is gonna do it for how American schools create violence and stupidity. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you agree with, you know, the points made in this video that Common Core needs to be replaced? Also, I think one thing that we didn't really talk about enough is parenting, bro, because a lot of times, you know, kids will see violence at home or bullying at home, and then they'll bring it to classroom because, you know, odds are if they don't find this like bullying or violence or whatever in school, they bring it from somewhere else, whether that's the media they consume, whether that's their parents, the things they see at home, you know, etc., etc. So parents, better job, you know, do not create toxic environments at home. I feel like that shouldn't be, you know, that shouldn't have to be said, but it is, unfortunately. A lot of, you know, domestic violence be going on in American homes. So yeah, that's gonna do for today's video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to Discord link in the description. And with that being said, it's love, hello, I love you, and I'm out.